Hi everybody. I'm just trying to find my Facebook on my iPad and I'll be right with you. Let me have a look, see if I can find me, shall we? Here we go. Okay, got me on my iPad now so I can see the comments as they appear. So hi everyone, welcome to my Sunday night stamping. I hope you've all had a lovely weekend. It's been really lazy here. We've had a lovely weekend. Haven't left the house again. Trying our best to stay put and stay safe. It's a funny old world out there at the moment, isn't it? So tonight I'm going to show you a little bit of Pampered Pets. On Wednesday we had a little poll over Pampered Pets and Darling Donkeys, and Donkeys won, but I promised you all I'd bring you some pets this evening. So I've made 2 cards for you and I'm going to show you how I've done those tonight. I'm also going to show you the mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, which is too cute. And I think it will be my new favourite thing ever. So I hope you're all sitting comfortably. Feel free to add your comments and chat along. It'll be lovely to spend some time with you all, albeit virtually. Hello to everyone who's joining. I can see lots of names, they're lots of familiar names, so thanks for popping on. I'm going to pause the video for you and so then I can swap my screen around and then we can get started. So bear with me guys, I hope you're sitting comfortably. Okay, I'm just going to sort out my camera and then we can get started. Right, so Pampered Pets looks a little bit like this. You'll find it in your annual catalogue on page 40 and 41. So it's actually part of a whole suite of products. So I'm going to show you the stamp set this evening. The stamps are amazing. I've actually used the papers in my next card class, my next mini card class that starts in January. So I can show you a little bit about those. But the cards I'm going to make tonight are just purely with the stamps, okay? So it's a beautiful suite of product. These are the lovely inspiration that it's given us. You've got some lovely DSP. I do love the colour sample that they have gone with for this suite. And then over the page we've got the Pampered Pets stamp set. Okay, it does come with coordinating dies if you buy it as a bundle. I haven't bought it as a bundle, I've just bought it the stamp set and the papers. You don't need the dies if you're happy with fussy cutting, which you all know, all that follow me know that I am a huge fussy cut advocate. So I've just gone with the stamp set. Stamp set is £20, so pretty good price, and the DSP is super versatile as well. So that's page 40 of your catalogue. If you've got your catalogue to hand, these are the 2 cards that we're going to make this evening. Okay, so I have used one of each image from the stamp set, so one little doggy and one little pussycat, and I've chosen to stick with a grey palette. This one is very monochrome with just black and white and grey, and this one I've added in a little bit of balmy blue for our colour, and I've done a little, I think it's called pointillism, but I'm really not sure of the pronunciation. I've done some little dotting there on that card, and I'm going to show you how I've done that. So we'll get started. I think I'm going to go with the doggy first. So I'm going to put my little pussycat to one side. And Marion, if you're watching, Marion's a good friend of mine that quite often watches along. This pussycat really reminds me of your cats. Super kind of elegant and saying just love me. So I thought of your pussycats when I made this. So let's get started. I have got a grey granite base. Grey granite is one of our neutral colours, and it's ever so slightly different to smoky slate. It's got more of a kind of beigey tint to it than smoky slate. But I do really like it. So that is just a standard card base, and this one opens like so, so it's a book fold, even though this one is a tent fold. And then I'm going to need some Whisper White. So just as a comparison, I've got some Smoky Slate here. So Smoky Slate is this one in my right hand, and Grey Granite is the card base. So they're just ever so slightly different. There's not a great deal in it at all, but it's just a different grey that we offer. So I'm going to cut a piece of Whisper White for my background, and I believe that is 14.9 by I think 7. It is. So let's go with 14.9 to start with, and we'll cut that down to 7 centimetres. So that is my piece for my background. The piece in front is 7.5 centimetres by 12. So let's just make sure that will work, and it will. Well, look, that's 12, so we'll just do 7.5. Okay, so they are my 2 pieces of white for the front, and then I'm going to need a piece of balmy blue for the background, for my embossed layer. So that piece measures 7, I must have been thinking of 7s when I made this, by 14. So let's just check what measurement I've got there. So 7 by 14. Okay, so those are my pieces that I have cut already, and then I'm going to need to do some embossing. So this piece here, this balmy blue piece, has been embossed, and it's been embossed with one of the mini embossing folders. Okay, so this is the greenery embossing folder, and it's really sweet. It reminds me a little bit of an Orla Keeley pattern, if anyone's familiar with Orla Keeley, and we'll use this little mini machine. So this is the mini Stampin' cut and emboss machine. It's available to demonstrators to pre-order throughout December, and it's available to customers to order from January in the new mini catalogue that's coming out. It is also in the annual catalogue, and you'll find it on page 170. So it's this little fella here, okay, and it is £56. So from January, if you order it in January, you'll also get a free celebration item, which is lovely, and I'm excited to show it to you tonight. So it comes with all these plates, like so, and you get a little mini guide as to what plates do what and how to set it up, like so. So it's really easy. So I'm going to use this mini embossing folder. So what's great about this machine is that Stampin' Up! Have really thought about what people use these machines for, and embossing is a huge part of using a die cutting machine. So they've given us mini embossing folders, and these are 3 inches wide, a bit more than that, 3.5 inches wide, so they will fit through this machine perfectly. Okay, you get a selection of plates. So you get your 2 clear plates, you get your base plate, your number 1 plate, and then you get 2 extra ones. So this one here is for an embossing, not regular embossing folder, and this one here is for a, oh no, sorry, this one here is for a regular embossing folder, and this one here is for using with a 3D embossing folder. So they've really thought about the products that we have. So for this one I need number 1 and I need number 3. So I just pop my base plate on my mini embossing folder, and then I'm going to pop this guy on over the top. Always make sure that your embossing folder goes through hinge first, and then we just quite simply wheel it through. Okay. Apologies for the wobble on my camera, and then we can just pop him out the way. How cool is that? I think I'm in love with it. So take out all our pieces, put our plates back, and then here is our lovely embossing, beautiful embossing folder. That one, really, really like that. So we can now start to kind of build up our card. Gina, that machine is so cute. It really, really is. I think it's a great addition to your craft room. The big one is fantastic. I do love the big Stampin' cut and emboss machine, but this one is fab for if you're just doing little die cuts, you're going to a class maybe. If anyone can remember going to a class, I feel like I've forgotten what it feels like. Doing coffee and cards, wonderful, because you're not lugging loads of heavy equipment around. It fits nicely in your tote bag. For me, I'm looking forward to kind of using it in videos and also using indoors, because I do quite a lot of my crafting indoors of an evening, and rather than being out here in the bottom of the garden. But when I do craft indoors, I don't want to have to lug that huge die cutting machine, so it's perfect really. Right, so on to our little dotty card. So I'm going to use one of this one. So these are the stitched shapes dies. They are an absolute staple in my craft stash. I use them more than any other dies, these ones. I'm going to lay it on my card, and I'm going to use some washi tape to just stick that to my card so that it doesn't move. Okay, let's just pop that on like so. Now the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to stamp my little fella inside, and I'm using Memento for that. Just going to stand up. I do have to stand up when I stamp for some reason. Just push him down like so. He's so cute. He reminds me of Tramp from Lady and the Tramp. Does anyone else see that? And then I'm going to stamp another one on here. Okay, so I've actually got two images which you can just about see there. Sharon said me too. I bet he'd do good at catching some rats as well. I did see your post earlier, Sharon. I do hope you're okay. The thought of that is awful. So I do think my heart does go out to you. Right, so what we're going to do is we're going to use some blends. I'm going to bring my camera in a little bit so you can see what I'm doing. So I'm going to start, I've got three colours. Sorry, I've got four colours. I have got a light misty moonlight, I've got dark and light balmy blue, and I've got a light pool party. And I'm going to start with the dark colour. And all I'm going to do is close to my line, my stamp line, I'm going to add some little dots, and I'm using the real fine end of my blend, and I'm just going to go round him. I say it's a him, but it could be a girl. So I'm just going round the edge of him with lots of little dots. And I actually find this quite calming. There's no pattern, I'm trying to be random. Okay, and then I'm just going to add some kind of wider ones. Like so. So now it looks like a dot to dot. Promise you it's not dot to dot. And then I'm going to go to my next colour. My next darker colour, which is dark balmy blue. And then I'm going to overlap my dots. So again, filling in those gaps close to the stamp line. And I did this recently with a Christmas card design using the Peace and Joy, and it was really good. I really enjoyed it. I think I did it during a coffee and card, so a Monday session. So I'm just filling in around those darker dots. And what I love about this is you almost get like an ombre effect. Just keep going. And then again, just add in some random ones kind of further out. So it's starting to fill, oh, that's now on the floor. It's starting to fill in our oval. And the next colour, this is the light balmy blue. And you can see I'm going further out with this now. Just filling in lots of little gaps. Taking it further out. Sophie's put these dots are so cute. The dots aren't bad, are they? Does hurt my eyes though after a while. I've got terrible eyesight though, so that's probably more to blame. And I'm kind of filling up most of the space here now. And there's quite a lot of space over here. I think I said it at the beginning, this is called pointillism. Apologies about the pronunciation, but I had a look on Pinterest earlier and it's absolutely fascinating. And there's some really clever people out there. So now I've done like so, I'm carefully going to pull my die off and you can see we've now got that outline, that oval outline. So all I'm going to do now is using my light pull party, I'm going to just go around the edge so that it just takes away that sharp kind of oval look, or that oval edge, but not too kind of dramatically. And this is really, really light, this colour. You can barely even see it. But I kind of think that's the point. So it's just making that edge look a little bit less kind of stark. And then when you're happy with it, so you can see, you can just about see those light ones, that then becomes on there. But he's not coloured in his hair, and we've got this other one that we've stamped. So what I'm going to do is I'm now going to use a light smoky slate blend, and I'm going to just colour really roughly around the edge. Don't need to colour all of it in because we're not going to see it, but what I am going to do is just colour around the edge, because where we're going to put this on pads you will actually see some of that edge. Just colouring that in. We need to colour in his nose, and I've used black for that, and this is just a Stampin' Right marker. And then what you'll do is what you'll notice, you've got kind of tufts of hair. So using a dark smoky slate blend, just going to kind of go over those tufts, because we will see those when we actually add the second one. Okay, so that one we can put over here like so. Sharon's just asked a really interesting question. Have I always loved crafting? Yes, I have. My earliest craft memory is cross stitching, which still is my I still do a lot of cross stitching now. And then, I can't even remember how old I was. Maybe I was about 19, 20. I made some Christmas cards, and my mum thought it would be a really good idea for us to do it as a hobby together. So she went to the local craft shop, and by the time she'd finished and she'd got to the till, she'd spent, I think, about £60–70 on this box of crafting. So she thought, oh, that's definitely a project, you know, a shared present for Christmas. And then my mum and her good friend Bev, my mum is also called Bev, they found a local craft shop, another different local craft shop that was doing classes for scrapbooking. And my mum went along with her friend, and I went along, and the rest is history. And I can't imagine my life without crafting, actually. Right, so just to interrupt that story a second, all I've done is I've gone around the edge of him with a dark smoky slate blend, and I'm just going to highlight the lines. I'm just going over that. So yeah, that's how I got into paper crafting. And then when I had Florence, my eldest, I really struggled to not have a social life, and I just really missed being creative, so I joined Stampin' Up, and I've never looked back, and it's given me so much more than I ever thought it would. I just thought it would be, you know, buying buying discounted craft supplies, and it's given me you guys and everything else. So there we have our little guy. He looks a bit messy, so what we're going to do is we're going to use a colour lifter, and we're going to blend those colours together. So if anyone saw my tutorial, my Facebook Live on Wednesday, you'd have seen me colour the donkeys. It's a little bit similar to how I've done the donkeys. So this colour lifter will just blend those colours together and soften the edges. Okay, and then don't forget his nose. And of course his collar, which I want the blend that fell on the floor. Here we have it. It's got a little blue collar. So there we have our finished doggy, which we can now cut out. Now usually I would cut around on the just off the line, leaving some white, but I am going to cut on the line, and I'm going to cut off all those little fluffy bits. Just reading some of the comments while I'm cutting. Sharon's put, so nice it's a family thing. It really, really is, Sharon. My mum is an incredible crafter, baker. She makes the most beautiful quilts as well, so she's very, very talented. It's definitely where I get my abilities from, I think. Anne's put, love the dots and how you've coloured him, thank you very much, quite like the dots too. Leslie's put, I've always crafted in my 15th year with Stampin' Up. Wow, that's amazing. 15 years. What was the first thing you ever bought, Leslie? And Courtney's just joined us. Hi Courtney, thanks so much for joining this evening here. And the weather is the same as it was on Wednesday. Cold, wet, dreary. Okay, so I'm just cutting around on his stamping lines. Like so. So we now have him stamped out and cut out. Now what I don't like about this is you can see kind of some white, you can just see it there. So to get rid of that, all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my dark smoky slate blend to just go round the edge before I stick him back onto the card. It just helps to bring those two images together, and it's just a little bit more finished, or polished should I say. So you won't see this because we've stamped in black, but it will just get rid of that white line. Sunny here, 70 degrees Fahrenheit. Oh, I'm so jealous. So jealous. There's this, but I think it was Fishy Friends, and still have a couple of the old ink pads, and they're still going strong. The ink pads are amazing actually, aren't they? Right, so now what we can do, I'm going to pull that back in actually. We're going to add him to the card but on pads, but if you look closely, when we add him back on, you've then got underneath all his little edging that that's the reason we've stamped that beforehand, or one of the reasons. So then we can stick him on with some foam pads. I'm just going to curl the edges of him to give him a bit more definition when we stick him on. Oh, Louise, need to go, but look forward to your next card and cuppa. Cheerio, Louise. Thanks so much for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and I shall see you tomorrow. Well, see you virtually tomorrow. I'm just adding some little dimensionals to the back of him, and then we can pop him on like so. And there we have. So the reason I've curled him is just so that you lose being able to see a lot of the underneath of him. So there he is, stuck on, our little tramp, although I'm not allowed to call him that. So we now need to do our sentiment. I've got a little smudge here, so I may move where I put my sentiment. Okay, so the sentiment I'm using comes from this stamp set. It says, I hope your day is a real treat, and it's here, and we're going to heat emboss him. So let me just grab some black cardstock. Like so. And we're going to actually use a die cut to cut this out, I think, because I freestyled it with that one and it's not quite perfect. So let's use these. These are the Stitched So Sweetly dies, and they're really handy. Let's use this little one. So it's just got a little scalloped edge. Gosh, it's so windy out there tonight. And let's cut that out with our little mini fella. This is the first time I've die cut with him. So to die cut we need, let's have a look. We need a 1 and we need 2 2s. So these are our 2s. We'll put 1 down and then we'll put our little die down. And then we'll put number 2 on top. Let's move that into the middle a little bit more. So this is the mini stamping cut and emboss machine for those that weren't on earlier. This is available to demonstrators to buy throughout December, and then it goes out to customers from January. And it's super handy. Oh, look, and don't worry, when you actually die cut for the first time, it will mark your plates, but that's meant to happen. Okay. And then once we've done it, we just pop it out the way. How cool is that? Okay, so we now have our little die cut. So that's got some nice stitching around the edge. And we've got that lovely scallop shape as well. So windy. Right, so our sentiment, here we have it. Okay, we're going to add some versum up, but before we emboss, we're going to just run our embossing buddy over it. And I probably should have stamped this first in case we get it wrong, but let's go for it. This is live crafting after all, isn't it? So Just stamp that down. And then we can add some embossing powder. That's it. Lovely. The reason we add that embossing buddy over the top is just so that it takes any static off our card, so that we get a nice clean image when we stamp. I'm just plugging my heat tool in. So then now we're just going to heat this. There's a little bit of embossing powder just there. Just going to hold this with tweezers so I don't burn my fingers. So we'll just heat that. You'll start to see it all go nice and bright and shining, and that means it's all set. So that's just starting to go now. That's it, so that's all set. Okay. And then this, I'm actually going to pop down there so it covers our ghastly little smudge that I've got on there. And then we'll add that again with a dimensional foam pad just to raise that ever so slightly. So just like so. There we have it. And then to finish, I'm going to add a frosted dot. So these are the frosted and clear epoxy drops, which are quite handy. You can colour them with your stamping blends as well. The other little smudge that I've got, let's put that over the top. So there's our finished card front today. For the inside, all I'm going to do is add a little bit of Whisper White to that. So we're just going to cut a little layer, and we'll do 9 centimetres by 13.4 centimetres. Okay. It's a nice little border of grey granite on the outside. And there is our finished card number 1. So on this one, this is the one I made as my sample before my live tonight. Inside I've added another little sentiment, happy birthday, with a little bit more dotting around it. This one I'm going to leave blank because this one could be a birthday, this could be for another occasion. So there we have our finished card. Let me know what you think. And I'll just clear down, ready to make card number 2. Sharon's just put love them. Thank you, Sharon, it's very kind. Let's just put our little dies away before I lose them. Don't fancy searching around for things later on. Okay, so that is card number 1 all done. And then card number 2 is this little one. It's quite simple. I've just got some repetitive stamping, and then I've got another technique there with my blends. Okay, same dies, but one of the different shapes. This is the Stitch So Sweetly dies. Same sentiment, and just a different image. This would work with any of the images in the stamp set. And then inside, we've just got a little layer as well. So for this one, is this one Smoky Slate? I think that's Smoky Slate. Let's just double check. No, it's Grey Granite. So let's get some Grey Granite cardstock. Okay. So for our Grey Granite card, we're going to cut our card base, and we'll get 2 card bases out of 1 piece of A4. So with my short edge along the top, I'm going to line up at 10.5 centimetres, and I'm going to score. And then I'll turn around. So the long edge is at the top, and I'm going to line up at 14.9 centimetres and cut. So there we have our 2 card bases ready to go. Now we'll need a piece of Whisper White, and just checking the measurement of this. That looks like I've gone for 7 centimetres again. I really don't know what's gone on with me tonight. 7 centimetres has been my go-to measurement. 7 centimetres, and that is as tall as the card. So the card is 14.9. So just cut that down. Okay. So we'll just cut that piece to start with, and then we're going to take our cat stamp, our lovely cat stamp, and we're going to stamp in Memento. Now, I tend to start in the middle when I'm doing something like this. Otherwise, it just looks too kind of generic, but you can start at the top or you can start at the bottom. So I'm going to start with a cat in the middle. There she is. And this is a girl, this cat, okay, just in case you weren't sure. And then we're just going to repeatedly stamp at different levels all the way down this piece of card until we are happy. Okay. Thank you for the lovely comments on the other card. That's very kind of you. And there we have it. Okay, so there is our piece of card with all the cats all over. Now I'm going to take a light grey granite blend, which I'll find in a second, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to colour in the background. Now the tip when colouring these backgrounds, so that you don't get a lot of lines, is to just be as light and as delicate as possible, and just do strokes in kind of one direction. Just colour all around. And again, this is quite therapeutic as well. This would work in any colour that you chose. I'm a big fan of black and white. If you wanted to, you could add just a pop of one other colour. You'll see you've got some kind of felt lines there, but they will disappear as the ink dries. Hi to the ladies that have just joined. It's a busy one this evening. I've actually not done any crafting all weekend. Apart from wrap a few Christmas presents. This looks really good when you use a dark colour as well. So if you were to use like Night of Navy. When I see all your cards, I might have to buy this DSP, The DSP is lovely. And Sophie, you've got the card class as well, which they're ready to go. Just waiting for all the product to arrive for the kids, and then I'll be sending them all out. I've actually really enjoyed using this suite. It's been a nice change from Christmas, and it's just quite a bit of fun. And there's a dachshund in the paper, so that makes me very happy. Okay, so there we have our little printed, our stamped pussycat with our coloured in background. Now if you wanted to make those cats stand out even more, all you would need to do is, using a darker colour, just go around the edge of those cats. If I show you here, because it's going to be covered, you'll then just get, and again you just need to be really quite delicate, that will then stand out a little bit more, but I didn't go for that look this time. So that is our piece for our card. So let's bring in our card base. Just move my camera out again. And then that can go on there like so. So there we have our little cat piece of cardstock attached. Now this piece here, I've added just a black strip. Okay, so this, need to cut that down a little bit. So bring in my trimmer. This actually measures 1 centimetre wide. Like so. It might actually be wider than 1 centimetre. I thought it was 1. No, it's just 1. We're going to add this. Just going to overlap it ever so slightly. Like so. And then I'm just going to chop that, cut that off there. That white cardstock is just ever so slightly longer than our card base, so let's just trim that up as well. There we have it. So it's starting to come together. Now we need to cut a piece of white using one of our dies. So again, the Stitched So Sweetly dies. Just bring back in our little mini. So we'll pop down our piece of white, our die, and then our next plate, and then just wheel it through. There we have it. Just pop out our die. Oops. So this die is lovely. It leaves a lovely little bit of stitching. And then we're going to stamp our sentiment. The sentiment says, "I hope your day is a real treat." And I'm going to stamp this towards the left so that we've got room for our cat to be added afterwards. Okay. I'm going to add this with some dimensionals. Like so. And then for our cat, we just need to stamp and colour it in. So I'm just using Memento for that. So to colour in the cat, I'm going to use grey granite. So I've got dark and I've got light. So I'm going to start with the dark, and all I'm going to do is go round the edge, and actually there's not a great difference in tone of the light and dark. Colour the inner part of the ears in. It does look like she's smiling, doesn't it? And then don't forget to add some colour to those little furs that are sticking out. Carry on. Like so. And then all I'm going to do is with the light, really lightly, just go over. And then with that colour lifter, blend those colours together just to get a little bit of shading. It just looks like there's a little bit of light kind of catching, like so. Okay, and then we will, there are dies that go with this stamp set, so if you're not a fan of fussy cutting, you can always purchase with the dies as a bundle. You save yourself 10%, and then you can just run this through your die machine. I think you get one other die with it, it's like a paw print, but it's not like the sets where you get sort of several other dies. Just being careful not to cut whiskers and tails off. So this stamp would be a good one to use with the technique I showed you for the first card, because then you wouldn't need to worry about cutting around the whiskers, because they would be stamped underneath. Okay, so nearly there. There we have our little fussy cut pussycat, and you can now see where that ink's dried a little bit, we've got a little bit of shading on her back and on her chest. So let's add this to our card. So she's stuck on like that, and then all I've done is I've added a little bow using some of the thread in the ribbon combo pack. So you get 2 threads, you get a lovely black and white twine like this, and then you get a thicker real red ribbon, so it complements the colours in the DSP. Because this one is monochrome, we'll go with the black and white. So I've just tied a little bow like so, and then I'm going to add this to my card with a glue dot. So just pop it on to your glue dot. And then all that's left to do is to add one of our little dots, little epoxy dots. These are the frosted ones, and I'm going to pop that there. Okay, so that's our card front finished. We'll just add a piece inside for our centre, for our message. Like so. You could add a little bit more stamping if you want, or maybe another sentiment, but I've left that one quite plain. Let me just have a little clear down. So here we have our finished second card. we've used the cat stamp, one of the cat stamps from the stamp set. This one here, we've stamped it several times on the background, and then we've coloured that in with coloured the background in with a Stampin blend, added a little strip of black, and then we've got a die cut with our sentiment added and our little fussy cut pussycat finished with a bow. So let's just bring in the other cards. So those are our 2 cards finished for this evening using the Pampered Pets stamp set. Let me know what you think. It's always nice to have a little bit of feedback. If anyone has any questions on any of the products or techniques I've used, feel free to drop me a message. These products are available to purchase through my online store. The stamp set does come with a set of dies. If you're interested in rather die cutting than fussy cutting, you will save yourself 10%. And that's it for me tonight, guys. Thank you so much for spending almost an hour with me. Where did that time go? I'll be back tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for my weekly coffee and card session. And then on Wednesday this week at 8:30, I'll be live again for my weekly session. Just before you go, there's a couple of cards here that I've made using the DSP from this suite. So here we've got the background stripes. The Alsatian style dog has been fussy cut from the DSP, and then I've got that lovely sentiment, and there's the other ribbon as well. That's the other one that comes in the combo pack, and I've just added a die cut heart behind him. And then for this one, we've got some of the animals that have been again fussy cut from the DSP, and then attached. So really simple cards, but really quite effective because of that DSP. So that's it for me, guys. Have a lovely rest of your Sunday evening. I'm off to tidy up now, and then I'm off to watch the final episode of Des, which is the David Tennant drama that was on ages ago, but for some reason I just didn't watch, but we started watching it last night. So that's the rest of my Sunday. Thanks, guys. Look after yourselves, and I hope to speak to you all very, very soon. Bye for now.